So, with a new autumn test series coming up and a new era with a new stewardship of Steve Tandy, we've got some new players coming into the squad. It's an exciting time. We don't know what the team's going to look like, what type of style of play they're going to have. Are they going to be better? Let's hope. And with that in mind, I've gone for the 5 things I'm looking for in this Autumn Nations series. And at the end of it, if we can look back and say, these 5 things we've achieved, then I think it's been a successful series. I've actually ended up getting 6 because I thought of one just before I started recording, but we got 5 and a bonus one at the end if you want. So the first stipulation is we have to beat Japan. Granted, the other games are difficult and we can take things out of losing in those games, but a good positive loss to Japan is not going to stick in this autumn series. Of course, we lost out in the summer, but I think the conditions really played into that. But bringing them to Cardiff will be the home team, will be in our own climate, and the feeling that's around the squad seems quite positive. We want to have a new start, and we don't want to get any sort of losing streak. So picking up wins is going to be vital, and also that is really important for the World Cup seedings. So we need to beat them, keep them below us in the World Cup seedings. Otherwise, the World Cup is going to be an absolute nightmare for us. It's going to be difficult already, but that would just make it so much worse. My second point is we actually see us nailing down a playstyle. Under Gatland, we saw chops and changes, different tactics every time there was a international window. We never really knew what the identity of that team was in the second Gatland iteration. So what we want to see is what type of team are they going to play? What type of team are they going to be? What type of rugby are they going to play? Are they going to just kick the leather off it? Are they going to try and play a bit behind the backs? Are they going to try and use a bit of forward dominance? That's probably not likely, but what are they going to do? And if we can walk away with seeing a structure that we recognize and think, right, this is what they're trying to do. It might not work because they've not had any time together, but if every game we see it getting a little more neat and a little more tight, and we see improvement from start to finish, and by the end we can say, right, we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to play out the back. They're trying to bring back row up on the wide out channels. Like, if we can pick something out and say this is what they want to do and this is what they're going to work on, that'll be a positive. And I think that will happen because I think Matt Sherritt is an excellent coach and he'll nail down the attacking philosophy. And once we see that, there's going to be positives to take forward then into the Six Nations. Third one is quite simple. Make us harder to beat. We've been far too easy to beat at the moment. Defence has been so poor. We've been blunt in attack. But given the Steve Tandy as a defence coach, I really want to see a really noticeable difference in that defensive setup and not conceding these big scores that we've come a little bit accustomed to. South Africa in the last autumn hammered us. France hammered us in the Six Nations. England absolutely humiliated us at home. I don't want to see any more of that. Over the last 12 months, the average margin of loss for the Welsh national side has been over 21 points. That is simply way too much. And it got knocked right down because Japan, we only beat us by 1 score. Before that, it was even more. So, the margin of loss has been so big. We've been so far away from getting anywhere near wins. So we need to bring that right down. And not conceding points is going to be the starting point of that. And I hope that Steve Tandy has got a plan, which I'm sure he has. And it's going to be suiting the team and suiting the players that we got. And we can see those games get closer and we can say, right, we're not just going out and getting absolutely pumped every game. We're actually competitive and we've got it built on the base of a strong defence and an attack that's starting to fire. Then the next 2 come down more to positions, and I want to see us nail down the 10 spot. It's going to be a shootout between Sheedy and Dan Edwards. To be honest, I wouldn't mind having Sheedy having a look in that first game. He's on form at the moment. But if it was to be Dan Edwards and you're just saying, right, we're giving him 4 starts and see how he deals with it, like I'm going to be totally happy with that. But we need to see someone given that jersey and let him have a run of it because mistakes are going to happen. It's going to be difficult. Again, a new system. So we need to see them getting on top of that system and actually being able to pull the strings in the back. If you just look at the amount of players we've had have a go at that 10 spot. You've had 5 just in the last 12 months, to my knowledge. You've had Costello, Ben Thomas, Anscombe, Jared Evans, and Dan Edwards. And even we saw Beetham have a little run of it. I can't remember whether that was a year or 2 years ago. If I've forgotten anyone, let me know. But I think that's it. So, I mean, that's far too many players to be chucked in and saying, have a go at this position. It's such a key position where you need to be able to control what's going on around you and be comfortable in. And when you're just chopping and changing, it's not conducive to success. So seeing those numbers really change, and one guy getting the majority of the minutes or all of the starts, and people coming off the bench, I don't really want to see them chucking Joe Hawkins in at 10 and having a go. Like, I want to see, if you want to go with Dan Edwards, then Sheedy comes off the bench for him every game. Or, do you know what I mean? Or vice versa, or give Sheedy a go in the first game, and if he doesn't really do anything, just give Dan Edwards the rest of the autumn's games. I want to see some sort of idea in that position, and again, by the end, we want to look back and say, right, he's the 10 going into the Six Nations. And then that kind of rolls on to the players outside the 10, and that's the centres. We've really, really struggled for so long now to nail down a centre partnership. The guys who've really had the most chances has been Llewellyn and Ben Thomas as a partnership, and it does kind of work, to be honest. I quite like them as a partnership, but again, in 17 games we've got 7 centre partnerships. It's just not, again, conducive to success. How are they supposed to build chemistry? You need to know how your centre is gonna behave when you're playing next to him. There needs to be like an understanding without having to literally constantly be talking all the way through. Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this. You do this. It needs to just be right. We know what we're doing. Like Robertson and John Davis, they knew what each other was gonna do. They knew how to play off each other's strengths and what each other's weaknesses was, and they could work as a pair in between that. And we've just not seen anything like that since then. The closest we saw was Tompkins and North, who started building a bit of chemistry, but coming to right at the end of George North's career, and without North outside him and bigger inside him, Tompkins just didn't look the same player. So really would like to see one partnership starting to form and say, again, right, we've got a nice little backline going there now, and this is a good partnership that is definitely going to be playing in the next Six Nations, so we can take that forward and just starting getting together and making these bonds that players, they just need them, and they need the experience together, and they need the time on the pitch, on the training field together, and we need to nail it down. I really hope that they're going into this group of games thinking this is our centre partnership and we want to work it and stress test it. So hopefully that's it. And then the 6th one, I did say 5, but we're going with 6 anyway. I want to see some of this young group of players emerge to be the guy. So, that could be a Dan Edwards. We could see James Fender come on and look a real international player. Brodie Cochran comes on and he's really good with his set piece and really physical and carrying his club form into the international games. You've got Morgan Morse. This could be his coming out party where, everyone's, the hype is there and, he's coming and he's actually shown he can prove that he can do it. Archie Griffin, just taking that step now and saying, I'm the tight head going forward and don't worry about anyone else. I'm the tight head. It's my jersey. Hawkins coming back. Can he get in that 12 jersey and step up and say, I'm here to stay? The 2 years that I wasted, we'll forget about those. I'm back now and I'm taking control. Can Ruben Morgan-Williams come off the bench and show the same stuff he did in the summer, same he showed for the Ospreys? Is Louis Hennessy going to get minutes, and is he a viable option going into the Six Nations? So many questions, so many young players. And I want to see, you see 2 or 3 or even 4 of those take a step up and, show that they're ready and can be at this level. And then you add them to the Dewi Lakes, the Jack Morgans, the Dav Jenkinses of the team, Thomas Williams. And then you start thinking, it's been bad, but there is the makings of a good team with these young guys coming in now and filling the void that has been left by so much experience leaving us in the past. So that's my stipulations, I guess, for a successful autumn international group. I don't think those are particularly like over the top to ask. I'm not saying I want to see us win 2 games because I don't think that's really likely to happen. But it doesn't mean that we can't have a really good game against the Pumas and walk away feeling positive and then beat Japan comfortably. And then obviously the other 2 after is going to be difficult. But if we can, like I said, reduce those margins of loss, so 21 points to be losing on average by 21 points over 12 months. It's just not good enough. And it's going to make us the laughing stock if we're not already. So this is an important block, and it's important for Steve Tandy to put his footprint and get the Welsh public behind him, because everyone's feeling good at the moment. But if he goes and loses or has 4 terrible performances, the pressure's quickly going to come on him. So I hope that doesn't happen, and I hope he's positive going into the Six Nations. But that's my thoughts. If there's anything you think or you disagree with, let me know, and I will catch you on the next one.